Magic, White and Black, the science of finite and infinite life. The character of an oak exists before the acorn begins to grow, but the growing germ attracts from earth and air such elements as it needs to produce an oak. The character of a child exists as such before the physical form of the child is born into the world and attracts from the spiritual atmosphere the elements to which its aspirations and tendencies are attracted. Each seed will grow best in the soil that is best adapted to its constitution. Each human monad existing in the subjective state will be attracted at the time of its incarnation to parents, whose qualities may furnish the best soil for its own tendencies and inclinations, and whose moral and mental attributes may correspond to its own. The physical parents cannot be the progenitors of the spiritual germ of the child. That germ is the product of a previous spiritual evolution, through which it has passed in connection with former objective lives. In the present existence of a being, the character of the being that will be its successor is prepared. Therefore every man may be truly said to be his own father, for he is the incarnated result of the personality which he evolved in his last life upon the planet, and the next personality which he will represent in his next visit upon this globe is evolved by him during his present life. The development of a plant reaches its climax in the development of the seed. The development of the animal body reaches its climax in the capacity to reproduce its form, but the intellectual and spiritual development of a man may go on long after he has acquired the power of reproduction. And it may not have reached its climax when the physical form is on the downward path and ceases to live. The condition of the physical body may undoubtedly furnish facilities for the development of character in the same sense as a good soil will furnish facilities for the growth of a tree. But the best soil cannot transform a thistle into a rose bush, and the son of a good and intellectual man may be a villain or a dunce. As a primordial essence proceeds to manifest itself in forms, it descends from the universal condition to general, special, and finally individual states. As it ascends again to the formless, the scale is reversed and the individual units expand to mingle again with the whole. Life on the lowest planes manifests itself in an undifferentiated condition. Air has no strictly defined shape. One drop of water in the ocean shares an existence common to all other drops. One piece of clay is essentially the same as another. In the vegetable and animal kingdom, the universal principle of life manifests itself in individual form. Still, there is little difference between individual plants, trees, animals, and men belonging to the same species. And you know the peculiar attributes which distinguish one individual form from another cease to exist when the form disappears. That which essentially distinguishes one individual from another is independent of form and exists after the form has ceased to live. Distinctions of form are perishable, but distinctions of character remain. Those attributes which raise their possessors eminently above the common level begin at a state when external appearances cease to be of great consequence. Socrates was deformed and yet a great genius. The size of Napoleon's body was not at all in proportion with the greatness of his intellect. Honor and fame rise above the grave of the form, and the influence of great minds often grows stronger after the bodies that served them have turned to dust. Strong minds expand far beyond their physical form while they live. They do not die when the form disappears. Their characters continue to exist and may reappear upon the earth. All characters may become reincarnated or re-embodied after they have left the form. But if an individual has no specific character of its own, the common character belonging to its species or class will be all that after leaving the old body can enter the new. If an individual has developed a specific character of its own that distinguishes it from its fellows, that individual character will individually survive the dissolution of its form, because the law that applies to the whole or to the class will also apply to the part. A drop of water mixed in a body of water will become dispersed in the mass. It may be evaporated and condensed again, but it will never again be the same drop. But if a drop of some ethereal oil is mixed with the water and the whole is evaporated in a retort, it will, after being condensed, form again the same individual drop in the mass. A high character may lose its individuality during life and sink to the common level, but if it has established a distinction from others, its individuality will survive the death of the form. To accomplish a change of character, an individual form is required. To build up an individual form, a character must exist. If we wish to produce a form, we must first decide upon its character. A sculptor who would aimlessly cut a stone without making up his mind as to what form he desired to produce would not accomplish anything great. The form is a temple of learning for the character, in which the latter gains experience by passing through the struggles of life. The harder the struggle, the faster may the character of the individual become developed. An easy life may increase the size of the form, but will leave the character weak. A hard struggle may weaken the form, but will strengthen the spirit. Forms grow at the expense of other forms. The growth of character induces other characters to grow. Forms grow weak when they impart their own substance to others. characters grow stronger while they impart to others their strength. Individuals vampirize each other as long as they require material forms. But a character that has once been formed finds the source of its strength within itself. In the lowest plane, where the physical life impulse acts very slow, an isolated form may exist for a considerable time. A stone or a diamond may last for ages because the consuming fire of life is not very active in them. But in forms in which life is very active, permanent isolation is not compatible with the existence of form. The higher we rise in the scale of life on the physical plane, the smaller grows the possibility of enduring isolation. An isolated scrub pine may live surrounded by snow and ice on an almost bare rock, where no highly organized life can exist. And an animal life may live a comparatively isolated existence in a forest, where a man would soon starve to death. Life in forms requires other forms to feed upon. Characters are self-existing. They require the contact with other characters only to try their own strength. And as they grow and use their power, they increase their own fortitude. The attributes which constitute character are formless. They may be expressed in a form, but after the form is dissolved, they return to the formless again. Abstract ideas, such as good, evil, wisdom, power, love, hope, faith and charity, etc., have no forms, but they may characterize a living being and render it good or bad, wise and powerful, etc. Still, such qualities do exist, even if they are not manifest in forms. Forms cannot create their own attributes, but they are the expressions of principles which exist and which may or may not become manifested in forms.